G'day, it's Dan here, and we're up to session 26 in this video series, and we're going to be doing hit points in this one. Now, this game system has at least as far as I know, unique system for hit points, and basically you re-roll all your hit points at every level. So looking at the confiscator, so when you're going up to level 5, you have 4 hit dice. So you roll 4d6 and you add any constitution bonuses, and that's your number of hit points. Now if that number was less than the number that you rolled on the previous level, so in this case 3d6 plus 1, if you'd roll particularly well there, then you just stay with the hit points that you had on level 4. So your hit points don't necessarily go up every level, and I guess if you rolled really well on say level 3, it's possible your hit points might not go up again until you got to level 6 if you roll poorly on your successive levels. So it's an interesting mechanic. It does ensure that your hit points only go in an upwards direction, but it's possible for them also to not go up at all on a particular level. So I guess what we're going to do is, I imagine that many tables choose to ignore that and just add the difference. So if you're going from level 3 to level 4, you just add 1 hit point rather than hit dice in this one. Going up level 5, you would roll an extra d6. I guess where that breaks down is that plus 1, or maybe not. So you get an extra d6 here, an extra d6 here, an extra d6 here, just an extra 1 point here. I'm sure that many tables will probably do that, but what we're going to do is support either method. So looking at our character sheet, again, we've got the 3 boxes, the main box. So what I figure we're going to do here is put our max hit points up here. So if we had a first level roll of 5, we'd put a 5 in here, and if our current hit points would also then be 5, and down here we would just write 1, and that's the amount of hit dice that this character has based on its level. So if we were back at level 5 for this character, this would say 4 in here, and maybe we go 4D. It might, so on level 3 it'd be 3D, or level 4 I think 3D1. I think we should just be able to fit 3D1 in there, and that should allow us to accommodate most settings, and that's just a visual representation. Maybe it's unnecessary, maybe we'll scrap it, but that's what I'm going to start with. That's my initial plan to do that. So number, string, and this number will be a dynamic number changing regularly throughout the session, and this is the max hit points, and this should only change when you level up. So let's give that a whirl. So we'll put one of these in. It's eyeballing it about right, possibly a fraction too high. I think it was right the first, oops. Okay, let's lock that into place, and we're going to call this one HP current. We're going to copy this, and we've got a whole bunch of code in there. We don't need that. We don't need any of this stuff. Okay, then let's grab a number field from up here. Let's lock that one into place. Let's call this one HP max. Let's remove the template. No, I guess the minimum value here is 1. The maximum value here is 10, at least as far as the rules go. We might bump this up to 20 in case someone plays a really long campaign. And extend this out a little bit. There's no reason to stop them at that. And we want a field here which is just going to be a string field, and it's going to be a very short string field. place. We're going to shorten it right up to, try 20. 20 is probably perfect. Height 20, you don't want an offset. And we want to call this hit dice. And let's test that out. All of these fields should be editable. They should be locked. They should be editable. Should be no scripts on them at all at the moment. And that looks fine. So let's push that. Let's check out our new character. Okay, so our new character, hit points 9. Okay, I've obviously left a couple of bits and pieces in here still. I've left some tooltips in here, and I've also left a default value, which is a bit crappy because that default value is going to stay in there. So once we update that, we'll have to create a new tune so that we can test that that works properly. So we need to label these fields. So hit points here, say the max is say 5, and his current hit points would be 5. Oops, okay, so we've got some sort of modifiers going on here still potentially. I need to work out what is going on there. Maybe there's a template I've missed on one of these. Let's check out the fields. Yes, we've got a template here, get rid of that. Of course, default value. Here's no default value. Hit points. HP current. Go to the template. Now this should be health. Max health. Okay, on value changed. Wrong one. Here. We want to max health. I'll call it max HP. It is HP. There's no template. That's good. Let's call this one HP, not max HP. And this field here should be called hit dice, the tooltip. Oh, what? Oh, didn't have one because we created a new field for that. Let's push it again. Alright, so our max hit points is 5. We'll set that to 4, just test it, make it back to 5. These tooltips feel a little bit big. I'm going to have to definitely change that tooltip graphic. Our hit points, our current hit points, we've got some other things in here. There's a minimum value of 3. Probably got a maximum value of 18, so they've got to be gone. And hit dice, we're just going to call this 1D. Okay, so it's a fraction over, too far to the left, or we need to lower it down. I suspect lowering it down is going to help. What if we've got something like 3D1? Yep, so we'll put that in there. We'll play around with that positioning, and I think that's pretty close to right. So I'm going to fix the minimum and maximum values here, and I'm going to move this down a bit lower so it fits more cleanly. And I think I'm also going to change the tooltips. So we'll actually hang around with me while we do all those things. Okay, default value, hit points, no max value, and the minimum value is -10. -10, you'd be dead. And we want this field here has to drop down lower. So that was the wrong field to change. It's possibly gone a little bit too low. I'm going to move it 1 pixel over and push it. Let's also go into GIMP. File, new. select all, select shrink by 1, paste this in here, cut that, no, I need a new layer, layer merge down. Alright, now I'm going to paste it to a new layer. I'm going to set that new layer to like 80% opacity, and we're going to export this as tooltip. Where is our tooltip box? Let's go back to the Ruleset Wizard. If we publish this, it should send the change tooltip over. Going back to Fantasy Grounds and reloading. Our tooltips, I think that's a lot more, less intrusive, still a bit big, maybe there's a bit too much padding at the bottom, I can investigate that later. This 3D one just fits in there, it's a bit close. These tooltips might be a bit obtrusive, we'll see how it goes in game practice, they might disappear. People have to read the rules instead of just blundering their way through. Okay, hit points. Possibly there should be some script in here that checks the max value here and never lets this one go above that. Then again, somebody might have some sort of, might be playing a bit more of a futuristic version of White Lies, and they might have some sort of steroids or booster that gives you a, a 1 minute increased vitality where you get an extra 10 hit points or something, and any damage you take comes off those first. Things like that. So we won't limit it for the moment. But I feel our characters are starting to, this stuff is all starting to fill out. We've got our BHB, which we'll probably look at in the next video. Alright, see you soon.